Welcome, Imad, to episode 11 of the podcast. So for those tuning in, today we have Imad Naassi, who's a somatic therapist. So welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Roy.
You're welcome. Thank you for taking it, especially on short notice.
Of course. Pleasure.
So yeah, I guess we can start by explaining what somatic therapy is and how you got into the whole field.
Yeah. So somatic means body in Greek, right? In an ancient language, it means just body. Soma is body. And the reason why I got into this is because I've always been interested in health and being, how can I become healthier, a healthier version of myself, because I had a lot of symptoms in the past. And I was always, whenever symptoms show up or whenever I had something, I was always trying to fix it, right? I was always trying to go to fix it through food or fix it through movement, medication,
also.
pills.
Yeah.
Like always trying to do something to fix it. And until I realized that what somatic therapy, when I stumbled across that, is that it teaches you how to listen to your body and to just take a step back for a moment and understand your body's language. And once I did step back and once I did listen to my body and I stopped, because sometimes even when I meditated, I realized that I was running away from pain. I was running away from my emotions.
Right.
So sometimes meditation can be an escapism, right?
Absolutely.
It can, even if it's a healthy modality, healthier than like partying or maybe alcohol or whatever.
Sure.
Not that there's something wrong with them, but it's just a healthier version, right?
Yeah.
Meditation can be sometimes an escape for pain, from emotions. And I realized that I was bypassing because I wasn't feeling any better. So meditation didn't do anything with me. And the difference between meditation and somatic is that somatic teaches you how to not only like just noticing your thoughts and your beliefs and your feelings from distance. It's not just that, because I believe that's not enough. In my case, that wasn't enough.
Sure.
It also teaches you how to turn and engage with your body, engage with these thoughts, engage with these sensations.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And then once you engage with that, you can understand your body more. And then I started to feel much better by listening and allowing whatever needs to come up, even if it's uncomfortable.
Sure. And so now, how do you work with clients? How do you actually carry out the somatic therapy? So if I were to come to you today and tell you I feel like I have some emotional blockages, energetic blockages, what's the therapy look like?
So I can only meet you where you at.
Sure.
So I ask you questions. We see like what is coming to your awareness, and we go as deep as you want. We don't have to go as deep.
Sure.
But I just help you release these emotions and whatever stuck energy you have or trauma through the modality that I see fit. I see it's best. So for example, people who are very analytical, it doesn't help them when I go into their heads.
Right.
It doesn't help, even though it's mind-body therapy, but it doesn't help them. So I just get them to feel more, to drop into their body more, to understand, to feel without trying to overly overthink or analyze or understand. And that is very helpful for them to release. But some people, they need that. They need that to understand a little bit more in order to release. But some people, you don't have to understand. You can release without having to know what's going on.
Right. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
each person, it's very, very personal. I really can't answer this question in a very in one answer.
Specific. Yeah.
It's very personal because emotions are very subjective.
Right.
It depends on each person.
Right.
So I just it's intuitively try to guide individuals through the release.
Sure.
But it's always connecting the mind and the body together.
Right. And I think that's what psychosomatics is, right?
Yeah.
So it's physical conditions that can manifest from mental or emotional blockages, right?
Yeah.
And this is something that I never knew about before personally. I would think if I have stomach pain, you need to go to a stomach doctor, or if you have back pain or hip pain or whatever. I never knew that emotions or blockages can be potentially, not necessarily, but potentially the cause of that. So at first, when I heard it, I was like, this is a bunch of like hula, basically. It's not true.
Yeah.
But then as as your path sometimes takes you there, you get to realize that it's actually very true. And when you start addressing it that way, you feel a difference. You feel your physical symptoms and sensations start to lessen.
Exactly. In my experience, I've been working with people since 10 years.
Yeah.
When it comes to chronic pain, it's definitely an emotional or a mental blockage. It's not just physical. I mean, if someone come to me with a pain that lasted for like few days, that was there for a few days or a few weeks, that's fine.
Right.
But then more than that, when it's more chronic, I know that there's an emotional component in it.
Right.
Right. So there's a story that needs to be
addressed. Yeah.
And so you need to dig deeper.
Yeah.
So the longer the pain, the symptom stays, the longer the block stays in the body, the deeper the story. The deeper the story is. That's from my experience.
Absolutely. Because something I've learned, Imad, in my healing journey is how much emotions or trauma gets stuck or trapped into the body. And we're never really taught this, right? Nobody, or a lot of people wouldn't know it. I certainly didn't know it. And then over time, when you start on your healing journey, whether it's a spiritual journey, whatever the case may be, you get to learn these things. And when you apply it and you feel the difference, you realize that, this thing actually, it works, right?
Exactly. You said it. When you feel the difference, for me, it was a turning point. When I started to listen and when I started to feel, I started to feel better, because I was never into spirituality. I was always into health.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But then I realized that they're both connected.
Absolutely.
And honestly, moving through this path, it made me feel better and my symptoms got better. So I was like, okay, if I'm healthier this way, then I'm going to stick to it.
Absolutely. And I think you mentioned something very important, which is how you feel, right?
Yeah.
It's not something that you think, it's more something that you feel. And when you feel better, you're going to follow it, right?
We spend a lot of time conceptualizing. Like, I was someone who reads a lot of books and stuff like that. But then, it's just a concept.
Yeah.
It remains a concept.
Exactly.
So what's the point of knowing and learning about these things, like these trauma and these emotions, but you're not actually experiencing them, and the only way to experience them is through the body. So that's why they're not trapped in your head, they're trapped in your body.
Exactly.
And people need to start, and people are actually starting to realize that, because they've whenever, like, for example, they come to me, they've already done inner child work and all of that, but we really look deeper and we see that it's still the pattern is still stuck in their body.
Right. Absolutely.
Because they go through that inner child healing with their mind. They don't go with their hearts.
Sure.
So they conceptualize and they jump into conclusions. Like, I need to forgive her and I need to accept her and love her. But what if she doesn't? What if she's not willing to forgive you? What if your inner child doesn't even recognize that you're here? Like, instead of jumping into conclusions and conceptualizing and analyzing this type of work, it has to be felt, and it has to be very like felt in the body. And so we often revisit this path, me and my clients, and when we witness that together, and then we see that whatever feeling that is connected to it, whatever emotions, whatever story is being somatized and moved through the body and then released, and then you can see that, oh my God, I'm not as much as overreactive as I am before. I'm not as hypervigilant as I was before.
Exactly.
So
I'm
not
present.
I'm more present, calm, less overreactive, less triggered.
Absolutely.
They started to see that, like, their body is more calm, and even what used to bother them and what used to trigger them, And what they mean, the body was used to what the body was reacting before is not reacting anymore.
Exactly. And that's a great point, because we react based on our nervous system, right? What's stored in our nervous system. When you heal that and you release that, your nervous system is more in a stabilized state. And then you're no longer reacting to everything, because you can choose to act consciously, right?
Yeah, exactly. We respond.
Yeah, exactly. It's a response, not a reaction.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how you know that you've actually went through this healing from a heart space, not from a mental space.
Right.
And I really and people should know that they shouldn't rush into that work, because there's a lot of protectors. The mind is always trying to protect the parts in the body that is stuck and frozen in time, frozen in the past. That child that felt, for example, abused or hurt or betrayed or whatever, you know. So there's a lot of protectors.
Sure.
And so it's very important just to be patient in this work.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need to realize that our body is always trying to protect us.
Absolutely.
And once we delayer that, then we can go into the deeper layers of our stories, and then beautiful things will unfold after.
Right, absolutely. And there's a point that you mentioned earlier, which is, a lot of us, because that's what's taught to us by society, is that if we have symptoms, we need to treat the symptoms instead of treating the root cause, right? So we get headaches, we get whatever it is. Our natural go-to, and this is what Western medicine pushes heavily, is that if you have this, you need to take that. If you have this, you need to take this, right? Of course, in Western medicine, there is purpose for it. If you need a surgery or there's something urgent, of course, you can go down that route. But often, I realize, Imad, people's issues are more chronic in nature. And when they're more chronic, not as emergency or urgent, then you need to dig a little bit deeper and see what's causing this.
Yeah.
Is it my eating habits? Is it my stored trauma? Is it something that I haven't dealt with inside on the mind level, the heart level, the body level? Because like we were saying earlier, a lot of it is trapped in our nervous system, right?
Yeah.
And then our body gives out these symptoms as signals that something needs attention. It's your body trying to talk to you, right? So these symptoms are not just happening out of nowhere. Yeah. It's literally our body communicating with us that, hey, Imad, or hey, Roy, there's something going on here that needs attention or addressing, right?
Exactly. That's exactly it. The first reaction we get when we start to feel the pain or feel whenever something arises and shows up, we notice something in our body. The first impulse is that we want to make it go away.
We want to numb it. We want to suppress it.
The first impulse.
Exactly.
And it's not our fault. We've been conditioned for that.
Exactly. And we don't have good tolerance for feeling uncomfortable emotions or pain. As soon as there's pain, whether it's a headache or anxiety, we want to just take an anti-anxiety pill. It's like as soon as something hits, we can't stand it, right?
Exactly.
Which is again, it's not our fault. We've been brought up like that, and now in our society, everything's a quick fix. We get the Deliveroo on the spot. Everything is instant, right? Instant gratification, instant dopamine hits, instant everything. So when the pain comes, we also want that to be instantly resolved as well, instead of doing the true healing, which is a little bit more lengthy, a little bit more of a process.
Yeah. True. Like we lost, like you said, we lost the patience with our body and with ourselves. And the moment you start to change that perspective, like this impulse, instead of like judging or making it go away immediately, once you start to, okay, it's okay for you to be there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna allow you to be there for a second.
Yeah.
As much as uncomfortable and unpleasant it feels.
Yes.
Let me see. Let me be curious.
Yeah.
Curiosity is very important, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
In that case, and also in general in life.
Yeah.
So when you're curious about your symptoms, when you're curious even about the unpleasant sensations, even with pain, and when you start to change your perspective and say, okay, let me see what's happening. You're gonna create more safety in your nervous system. You're gonna create more safety in your body, and your body will start to trust you.
Yeah.
And then once you build that more trust with your body, deeper layers will come up, deeper feelings will come up, not just the superficial feelings.
Right.
The deeper feelings, the deeper stories will come up.
Yeah.
And sometimes it will, with time, it will happen automatically. you start to resolve these conflicts automatically because the trust is established.
Right.
The body is trusting you again.
Yeah, it feels safe.
It feels safe.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a big part of it, right? It's our body feeling safe to then express these emotions and to release them, essentially.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever heard a book called The Body Keeps Score.
Yeah.
So there's for those listening, there's a book called The Body Keeps Score by
Peter
Bessel.
Levine.
So there's Peter Levine, but this
Levine.
one's by Bessel van der Kolk.
Yeah.
I haven't finished it, but it's a fascinating book. It basically teaches you how much of trauma is literally stored in the body. And your body keeps score of every single thing since birth, essentially.
Yeah.
Right? Every time if we heard screaming in the house, for example, and we tensed up or we hunched our back or we held some tension, that actually gets stored and trapped until you decide to release it. Right?
Yeah, and until you decide or until you choose to give it attention and to sit with it. And this is the most difficult part. Like, I understand, like, it's very difficult to make time and to sit with the uncomfortable sensations.
Yeah.
But it makes it easier when you have someone that you trust, when you have a witness, especially in the beginning, to guide you, because a lot of people know that the trauma is stored in the body. They actually know that, but they don't know how to work through it.
Sure.
They don't know. So it's very important to have someone who's specialized, who can guide them through it.
Yeah.
And it's very important for that person to be flexible, and to also have gone through his own journey. Like me, for example, I understand my body more. I've been through that journey.
Yeah.
So I can help others that are also experiencing the same thing. It makes it easier if you have a witness, because sometimes it's very uncomfortable. So you need a witness. So you need someone who can
feel safe with, maybe
who can just see your pain, who can observe, who can witness with you, and who can have empathy, right? And have the tools for it, and flexible tools, not just one tool, because you have many people. Many different psyches, different characters, personalities. So you have to understand, what does this person need?
Right.
Maybe this healing tool is gonna help him. The breath is gonna help him. The body work is gonna help him. The talk, for example, is gonna help him. Visualization is gonna help him. I don't know. It's very personal.
Sure, absolutely.
and then once you guide them through it, they will be able to release. But they need someone who's specialized to help them know how to go through that path.
Right.
Because really, many people they know.
Of course, and that's why maybe they come to like a specialist or an expert like you, for example. And you can help guide them, basically.
Exactly.
What about breath work and cold exposure? So obviously, breath work is something that I've dabbled in a little bit over the years. I don't know if you heard of a type of breath work called holotropic breath work.
Holotropic.
Yeah, so this is a breath work, Imad, that I did in Bali 2 years ago now, so in 2023. It was the craziest experience of my entire life. That was the first time, Imad, I experienced something and I realized, okay, there's more to life than the physical eye can see.
Nice.
My first ever, call it a spiritual experience, call it whatever sort of experience you want to call it. It was the first time I realized there's more to life than we know or we've been taught. Basically, the way it happened was we sit in a ceremony. We're about, I think about 10 people. We're all lying down with our heads facing each other, and there's a breathwork guide. She was guiding us through it. So she put some, spiritual music, and then she's like, okay, guys, repeat after me. May I see what I need to see? May I feel what I need to heal? May I feel what I need to feel? To heal what I need to heal, to help those that need help. And then she plays the music, and she gives us the breathwork instructions or sequence. And we start. And Imad, as soon as we started, literally 5 seconds in, the girl on my left starts crying her eyes out. Girl on my left starts screaming out of the top of her lungs. And so at that point, everybody was going a little bit crazy, which is what's supposed to happen. And then for me, at first, nothing was happening. So I was like, okay, maybe I need to keep going.
But how are you reacting?
So at
were you
first I was shocked. I was like, no way this is happening. I've been with them the whole week. It was a retreat in Bali. Everybody was, we shared our stories and whatever.
What the hell is happening?
Exactly. So when this person is screaming and this person is crying, I was like, okay, something is going on. And then what happened is the instructor was going around, comforting everyone, holding their hand, making sure they're feeling okay. When she came to me, it turns out I was doing the sequence a little bit wrong. So she corrected my sequence. And then, Imad, it was madness from there. Explosion of tears came out, like crying from the bottom of my heart. Literally, grief just flowing out. And it felt so good to release. It was such a painful cry, but I felt the healing that was happening while I was doing it.
Yeah, you felt that it's gonna lead to something good after, right?
100%.
Yeah.
So I kept on going, literally 30 minutes straight, Imad, of pure explosive crying. And then they even she told us, you can get hallucinations. She told us it's similar to a psychedelic experience, except without any drug. It's through the power of nature and your own breath.
Yeah.
So again, when she said that, I was very skeptical, saying, okay, this sounds a little bit too good to be true. But when we started it, I couldn't believe what was happening. So excessive crying. And then she also said that you might feel energy moving through your body. And I was lying down, and then your arms just start to vibrate and to rise up as well. Again, it sounds a little bit like crazy to believe.
For me, no, it's.
I'm sure you know. Yeah, I'm sure you know. So yeah, after that experience, it was, like I said, the first time that I realized, okay, there's more to life than we know. And then you get an emotional hangover. You feel so drained, but in a good way. You feel so relieved after that.
For like a couple of days. And then you feel like recalibrated after. You feel good.
Exactly. And then since then, I realized the power of the breath or prana, how important that is. And again, many people might not know this.
Yeah.
I certainly didn't.
I've heard about holotropic. I got certified in somatic breathwork actually, and it's like holotropic is longer. Like I think it's 2-3 hours of breathing.
It could be. I think I did it for 45 minutes or an hour, but it could be 2 or 3. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I don't believe that you need to breathe that much.
Sure.
You can just do like even within like 30-40 minute window. It's more than enough.
Yeah.
Even less sometimes. Depends on how connected you are with your body. But I found that breathwork also for me, like I still remember my first experience. It was crazy. I released like so much anger for me. And after that I felt like in such a blissful state. But then I was like in such a high state. Yeah. But then I came back into like the normal state. But for me, like it's breathwork is one of the most powerful healing modalities out there, no doubt. I definitely love it. That's why I got certified with it. Yeah. And and especially for the people who are very rational. Yeah. It really works with them because it really switch off their mind. Interesting. And then they go to their subconscious. It helps them go to their subconscious mind. And this is where they can really experience like what both of us experienced, like the anger for me, for example, and the grief in your case as well, especially us men.
Yeah, absolutely. We're taught to suppress everything, and you need to be macho and you can't show emotions.
Exactly.
Exactly.
But it's draining, it's tiring. Like it. For me, this is the rule. If it doesn't make me healthier, I don't want it. So if it's healthier for me to process or feel my emotions for a period of time without getting stuck in it, just letting it pass and I'm not acknowledging it and feeling it for a moment, letting it go, and then I feel better. Then I feel healthier. I feel like my body is like the pain is better, the symptoms are better. So for me that's the golden rule. Sure. So I would stick to it. And for me, the breathwork is what helped me do it. But as I grow in experience, I realized that sometimes people also use the breath to chase the high, to chase the high instead of really trying or integrating their their stories,
Yeah.
what they've been holding on to,
Yeah.
and instead of like just chasing a high. So we always want to feel good when we do these practices, but
Sure.
there's no depth
Yeah.
in our healing journey.
Yeah.
Breathwork can be a modality to not, it depends on the intention and the awareness of the person. So if you're doing it just to chase a high,
Yeah.
I don't think that's an ideal way to use it.
Sure.
But if you're doing it to maybe get some answers or to have more depth or to go deeper within yourself, not just feeling good,
Right.
then for me, like that's the right way to do it.
Right.
Because you wanna also like you don't wanna also you don't just wanna feel good. You wanna see yourself. You want to see like the things that used to bother you doesn't anymore. You want to see like you're in a much more peaceful state. You're still engaging in society. You're still participating in life. You're going through the stress, through the challenges, but it doesn't affect you. Like it doesn't. It's not a burden anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah, you voluntarily go there and you accept the challenge, or you accept what life brings out for
Absolutely.
you. And for people who just want to chase the high, when life hits them, what happens?
Right.
They you see, I saw, like I was someone who's like that, by the way. I get confused. I was like, no, but I want this high. I want to stay in that high, right? So you want the integration. You want the modalities that helps you also integrate.
Right. Right. No, that's a very important point I think you mentioned.
Yeah.
And you were saying earlier how breathwork goes into the subconscious to help you release. And it's very important to mention that, because even the instructor that I was with told us basically it, from a spiritual standpoint, it surpasses the ego into the subconscious to release all or a lot of stored emotions, a lot of stored trauma. And then, like you said, when you're no longer carrying that, you no longer fear. Because what I realized, Imad, when you have trauma or wounds, okay, it's like we're walking around the world with baggage or armor.
Yeah.
And we don't want anybody to touch these wounds, because if you touch them, we're going to react. It's subconscious. We react when we have deep wounds, psychological wounds, emotional, energetic blockages, whatever it may be. So instead of walking around our whole life with armor and baggage, trying to protect these subconscious wounds that we have, the minute you start to heal and release them, that's how you become freer. You're no longer needing to carry around all the baggage, all the weight, all the trauma. You become free from them. You know, let's say you were called, for example, overweight when you were younger. You carry that your whole life. And then the minute, even if you've, for example, lost some weight or whatever it may be, if somebody tells you that, if you haven't healed the wound, it will trigger you, right?
Yeah.
That's what a trigger is. It's a subconscious reaction. But if you work on yourself and you release that deep wound, it will no longer feel like an attack. It will no longer feel personal. It will go right through you, right? And that's what emotions are. They're energy in motion, right? They're supposed to pass through us. But when we experience something we don't like, we end up freezing it, and the energy gets trapped in your body for life, unless you decide to release it.
Yeah, and with the more and the body will tell you, like, if you have symptoms, if you have pain coming up, the body is asking for your attention. Yes. This is why the more you have things trapped in the body, eventually it will cause pain, so that you can really come back to the body.
Exactly. It's like notifying you that there's something going on, giving you pain.
And that's and also, by the way, you've pointed out something very, very important. Like, this is why it's important to do this kind of work, because you want to feel numb your whole life. Do you want to be in a protective state the whole time, and avoiding to engage with people, and avoid just because you don't want to get triggered?
Exactly.
Or you just want to free yourself and accept yourself as you are, and free yourself from all of these protectors, and really understand, like, okay, like, expose yourself out there, be out there, make mistakes, do relate, learn how to relate with people, and even and not take nothing personally.
Exactly.
Right?
And engage with life, engage with
participate
it,
in life,
hide from it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is very important what you said regarding to like we really need to also acknowledge our protectors.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of protectors, and once we understand how they work and we heal them, um, but with like it's also very important for people to realize, like, because we talk about the ego and the trauma and the wounds, it's very important to go through this process or through this path with compassion.
Right.
And what I mean is that you even see the most difficult sensations, the most difficult patterns, the most difficult feelings that your body is showing you, even the painful parts.
Yeah.
You see them with acceptance and calm, and you learn how to do that.
Right.
This is very important, because we can be compassionate with others,
Yeah.
but we don't know how to be compassionate with ourselves,
Right.
and we don't know what it means. But this is what it means. It doesn't mean when you're happy you need to be compassionate with yourself. It's easy.
Right.
Okay, but what happens when you have pain, or when you get reactive, or when you make a mistake, or when you get triggered, or when you feel something difficult?
Yep.
This is when you need to have the most compassion. This is when you need to be compassionate with yourself.
Right. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
What about cold exposure, and also the importance of, when you're trying to release things somatically, things like shaking, how important that can be sometimes, because that's what animals
I love
do,
shaking.
right? Yeah, me too. Before, we're taught don't look silly in front of people, so like nobody really shakes. We're not taught to shake, right? Animals, when they have a fight or flight response, they always shake after whether they're fighting or they have some stressful incident. You'll find that all animals pretty much shake, right? And that's to release the fight or flight energy so that it's no longer trapped. So nature is very wise in that sense. It already knows what needs to be done. For us, we haven't really learned that. But yeah, if you can touch on like the importance of like shaking, crying, screaming, like all these things that we're taught in society that we shouldn't be doing, but how they can actually help release.
I think science is helping people really at least try, especially those who are rational, to try these things, because it actually works. Where shaking is actually now being being studied and proven to be a method that helps reset the nervous system. And it influences the energy channels in our body, like more than 72,000 energy channels in the body.
Right.
So there's a lot of studies now that are bringing more awareness into that and to these somatic practices. And like you said, the animal, when it's chased by its prey, it can play dead, so it can freeze. The animal can leave, the predator can leave, and the animal is saved just by freezing. Or when it's chased by a predator and it's in a fight or flight state, and then for example, like a zebra, when it escapes the predator, it shakes. You can see that the shaking all over the body.
Sure.
So, and also when the prey is plays dead, and when the predator leaves, it can adjust automatically after and then leave. But the problem with humans is we don't have this mechanism. We stay stuck in that state.
Sure.
We stay stuck in either freeze state or in either fight or flight. So the shaking is gonna help us, is gonna bring our nervous system back to balance, back to homeostasis.
Got it.
Because when you shake, you're activating your nervous system, you're activating the body, you're dropping into your body,
right?
And whatever is trapped there is gonna be released,
right?
And you bring your body and your nervous system back to balance,
right?
So that's the key. Like we don't have the capacity to, or we're not able to be like animals, to have this automatic mechanism,
sure,
to shift.
Yep.
The human being nervous system is stuck there. And once we learn or understand, okay, where are we stuck, and we can do these practices to bring us out of the state, and into balance.
I see.
Yeah.
It's I've also learned, Imad, how important it is, because like things like, for example, rage can be released through shaking. And then a lot of it is stored in your hips as well. I'm sure you know how important the hips is for storing all sorts of emotions, right? So doing physical work like that can help release. When I started yoga, for example, back in the day, I never realized how important yoga was from a healing perspective. You know, I thought it was just a physical exercise, but putting your body in those postures can help release. And there's a lot of times that I was doing a yoga session and I got emotional. I released some tears, for example. So it's really, again, this is part of somatics, right? It's part of moving and healing through the body as opposed to only through the mind.
Yeah, whatever puts you back into your body. There's dancing as well. For me,
absolutely.
dancing is something I really like to do because it's a form of expression.
Yeah.
And you get also it helps you get back into your body. I think we are in a phase in this life. I think we are in a place where knowledge is not anymore valued because it's out there. What is more valued these days is the embodiment. It's like, if you know something, did you experience it? Did you embody it? Did you feel it? Did you feel it? So so I feel like we are in this phase now. Like, people are becoming more aware of how important to go back into the body.
Sure.
Because it's easier to escape the body. It's easy to escape the body, whether through the mind or through the spirit.
Yeah.
And it's easy to play around.
Yeah.
These
because the mind can, if you have a lot of stored trauma or emotions, we seek to live in the mind because it's our safety zone, it's our safety net, right? It's only when we feel safe to return to the body, we can then come back from our hiding spot and feel, hey, what's been going on here our whole life, right?
Yeah. And honestly, the more honestly, when I started to feel safe in my body, more safe in my body, I started to read less books because I'm getting the answers inside.
Exactly.
I started to read less books. I stopped following people who are telling me what to eat because I can intuitively know what to eat.
Absolutely.
I can really, I literally can look at something and listen to my body if it's ready to digest it or not. Because, for example, maybe today I'm ready to digest a certain food, but tomorrow I'm not. My body doesn't want it.
Sure.
So you cannot, you cannot measure that.
Exactly.
So it's not only about the food, if it's healthy or not. It's also about the state of mind that you're in. It's also about the, how do you feel about this food, and also the environment that you're in. There's a lot of components.
Right.
So what's easier is to just listen to your body, and you can intuitively know. You can just grab something and ask your body, do you want this today?
Sure.
Can you digest this today? And it will give you a yes or a no.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this might sound like it might sound like a woo, but actually this is what helped me. Really, it helped me maintain a state that is like an ideal optimal state.
Yeah.
So I stopped reading books. I stopped listening to what I should eat and what I should not eat, and I started to listen to my body.
You're more intuitive now.
And I feel so much more peace now.
Yeah.
I just feel, and I feel peaceful. I really feel peaceful. I don't
totally get it. I'm the same. At first I wanted to load up an information so that my mind would feel a little bit safe. And then once I started to feel safe, it's like, okay, now let me experiment myself to see what works for me, right? Because what works for you might be different than for me, might be different for somebody else. So once you feel safe to explore, you can then dive back into the body, right?
Yeah.
It's super important to do some somatic work.
Yeah.
Even things like, I don't know if you've heard of EMDR, for example.
Yeah.
So that's a basically bilateral stimulation. It's a healing technique for trauma, specifically for PTSD, a lot of the times. And it's basically, for anyone listening, it's just a simple, obviously you need to go to a qualified therapist with the EMDR. And then you're just using bilateral stimulation, which is looking left and right. It could be with their finger or it could be with a device. And that is essentially somatic healing, right? When your eyes are moving left to right, you're signaling to your body that's now safe to release. It's a very effective form of therapy. Actually, I've done it myself, and it works wonders. It's surprising how easy it is and how effective it is. And this falls under somatic therapy and the broader umbrella of things. And then there's also somatic experiencing by Peter Levine. This is something you mentioned earlier today. So that's another form of somatic work that can help as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm happy that people are more aware of this kind of work, the somatics. They're more aware of their body and how important it is, not just on a physical level, because we are all trying. Everyone is working out. Everyone is taking care of their diet.
Yeah.
But you can see also that when it comes to diet, people are more leaning into detoxing and into cleansing.
Right.
When it comes to fitness, people are more leaning into mindful movements.
Right.
So that there's a shift that's happening.
Absolutely.
Because we've tested it. Exactly. Just doing the physical stuff like moving and eating healthy is not enough.
Right.
Especially in this, maybe it would be enough back in the days.
Yeah.
But in these days, like with the technology and with everything, with the distraction, with all of the stress and the work, and in this generation, it's just not enough.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like you said, as more and more people are going on their healing journeys, people are starting to experiment with different things and start to learn different things. Yeah. And stumbling into somatics has been fantastic for me.
Exactly.
Thank you. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. You were going to say something.
I want to point out to something about. I want to talk about meditation.
Yeah.
Like even meditation, people are starting to see even the most advanced, like very advanced meditators. They come to see me in the session, and they have moments of panic attacks and anxiety and stress. Even the most advanced meditators, and it's recurrent. It's not like just one time. I mean, we all have these. Yeah. It's fine to be stressed or anxious for some time, but recurrent, and their advancement. So why is that? Is because when you are an advanced meditator, you can be sometimes like stuck in this realm of like a spirit, and also bypassing the sensations that you need to feel, but you can't feel it because you're up there. This is why it's important to go to the body.
Right.
So that this is and it's sometimes it's a painful process. This is where you're holding pain. This is where you're holding hurt. This is where you're holding all of these. But this is where you can alchemize everything, all this pain and all this hurt and all these feelings, and you can alchemize them into something that will really help you become a free person. Like you can. This is where the answers, the truth is hidden.
Right.
So once they do that, once they get into their body, they said like this is the most spiritual. Actually, this is the spiritual thing that someone can do. It's not to meditate for hours and with the intention of not that. Sometimes people don't know that they're stepping away from pain. But once they see that, okay, once they realize that, oh, I was avoiding the pain.
Right.
Oh, I was avoiding the hurt. Oh, I was avoiding the feeling.
Right. You need to go through the body.
And once they go back to the body, and then they start seeing results with their anxiety, with their stress, with their.
Sure.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Hamad. I think that's all the time that we have for today.
Yeah, pleasure.
Thank you so much for agreeing to come on, sharing your insights, and hopefully it'll be able to help some people that are listening.
Yeah, thank you, Roy. Thank you so much for having me.
Happy.
Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Cool.
Amazing.